go. The Knicks will milk some clock. Jennings for Carmelo. Anthony will take it and make it. Anthony for three.
I think we see Willis coming out. Won the NBA championship.
Have the first pick in the 1985 NBA college draft.
Season ends the hands of the Chicago Bulls. Reggie Miller is tied the game.
The Bulls are your world champions.
New York Knicks select Kristaps Porzingis.
Welcome to the MadGood Knicks show. I'm Far, that's TK, and that is special guest Anthony Donahue. We are here in Burger Time, Morris Park, BX stand up right after a Knicks got a big time W. Before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about our special guest here again, Anthony Donahue of SNY, The Stash, Knicks blog, podcast, and contributor to ESPN New York. 98.7 FM. It's like wherever you go in New York, you hear this guy. I feel like that's the case. Is there anything you don't do?
Yeah, there's probably a few things. Listen, everybody has their flaws. I'm not perfect, I'm not Superman, but there are a few things I don't do that I should probably start doing at some point. But for now, I'm doing okay. I'm managing. I'm getting through life.
We thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And especially as a Knicks fan, the fact that you are managing, we know what that
I'll
is.
be honest with you, had the Knicks lost this game tonight, I was probably going to cancel this segment.
I was too. No, I wasn't.
No, I don't
wasn't happening.
segment alone. I don't think the whole show. You guys want to leave me hanging? Yeah.
Next wrap up, interesting win to say the least. 106-104 at the Timberwolves. Big games from KP. Melo, I swear. So right before the show, right before Melo hit that shot, I was putting together questions for the show.
Yeah.
And the first question was going to be, what's the deal with Melo? How do we fix this Melo problem? What does he do?
I don't know if I call it a Melo problem. I just think Melo needs to realize. I still think he's technically the best player on the team, but he has a lot of talent on the team. It's kind of like Patrick Ewing in 1997, 96, 97. Patrick Ewing was still the best player on the team, but he had Allen Houston. He still had a young Larry Johnson, John Starks, Charles Oakley, even more so the 99-2000 Knicks team when Patrick Ewing had Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston, Marcus Camby, Kurt Thomas, where Ewing was still really good, but he wasn't the Ewing that had to score every time down, that had the ball in the post every time down. So that's what Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks need to figure out. A balance of this isn't the Knicks with Landry Fields and Ronnie Turioff, but a bunch of scrubs and Melo needs to shoot every time.
Is it the Knicks that need to figure this out, or is it a Carmelo Anthony problem?
I still don't want to use the word problem, but I think it's just combination.
50% of Knicks Nation disagree with that.
I think it's a Carmelo Anthony thing. He just needs to realize, okay, I have Derrick Rose, I have Brandon Jennings, I have Kristaps Porzingis, I have other guys who can put the biscuit in the basket. Yeah. I don't need to catch the basketball, put it above my head, and try to do something every time. And one thing you need to do is just do things quicker. If you want to shoot every time in the ball, just do it right away. Right. If you want to drive. If you want to pass. The worst thing you can do is just hold the ball, because when he holds the ball, everybody tends to just stand and do nothing.
To be fair, he hasn't had teammates like this in several years.
He hasn't.
With Kidd and Joe.
And best point guard since AI and probably Billups.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hands down. So let's talk about what is the real issue with this team on the road. This is only their second win on the road.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Huge problem.
Considering a road trip is coming up.
Absolutely. And
Five-game West Coast trip.
We've got a big game coming up at the Garden again against these very same Timberwolves. Then we go to the Cavs. Then we play the Cavs, and then we've got that big West Coast swing. Yeah. What is the issue? I haven't seen such a parity on a team between playing at home and on the road. They look like completely different teams.
That's a great question. I mean, I look at this New York Knicks basketball team. They're not that old. I know that they're a bunch of partiers out there. They're getting to a city and they're going out and they're hitting the clubs.
JR is way past.
JR, none of these guys are big time partiers.
JR.
So I don't think they're waking up in the hotel hungover with a bottle of Jack and some grandkids and they laugh right next to them. That's not what's going on. I would love to give you an answer on why they're not playing Grand Road. Obviously, in the NBA, you usually always play better at home, especially the 4 through 8 or 9 guys in the team always play much better at home. Why the Knicks? Why it's this much of a disparity? I am an expert. I think I'm considered an expert. I don't have the answer. I just don't know why. I hope it changes, and they have 5 games coming from the road. And hopefully, they can win a couple of those.
Something interesting tonight about this win. The Knicks got off to a hot start, and they usually don't do that, especially on the road. And then kind of down the stretch, we saw them get lethargic again.
Yes. They got comfortable.
They got too comfortable, right? They took their foot off the gas.
Listen, they were up, 17 with 6-7 minutes left. And all of a sudden, it was a tie game.
I want to talk about that. What do you think happened there?
I think they just got lethargic. Timberwolves made a couple shots, get a couple fouls, make a couple threes. All of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, it's a tie game. But I think the positive in this is that the Knicks held on to win, and Carmelo Anthony had a really bad stretch. I'm not going to bring up the numbers right now between 2013 and Friday night versus the Hornets, where he was basically 0 for his last whatever, taking shots with less than 10 seconds left to win the game. And the last 2 times this season with the game on the line with Carmelo Anthony with the basketball, he's made those shots. So that has to give the Knicks confidence. And that's going to give Carmelo Anthony confidence a lot moving forward in those big game situations, knowing, I can make that shot again. Even though Melo is never lacking confidence, but he has made the last 2 shots in that situation.
Carmelo also had a couple shots towards the end of the game that he absolutely, one of them was an air ball, and the other one he absolutely missed, and that was where Knicks fans once again were like, can we just run this through KP?
But KP's not ready yet.
He's not ready. I completely agree with that.
These fans that just want to run the offense, and I love Kristaps Porzingis. I'm very tight with his family. I'm like part of his family. He was the first guest on 33rd and 7th, my new show with the Stash. He's not ready to have the offense run through him yet. And you know what? That's not an insult.
It's not at all.
It's not.
Second-year player. He's European, so the fact that we got all of this from KP is a blessing.
Yes.
It's funny you mentioned that second-year player thing. I think Karl Anthony Towns is a second-year player as
he
well.
47 and 18 for Karl Anthony Towns.
Karl Anthony Towns.
But we're not going to talk about him, though. You mentioned something. You mentioned Carmelo Anthony's confidence once he hits these shots.
He's never lacked. He definitely has more now.
But let me ask you this. On Friday, he hit that big game winner, correct?
Yes, he did.
The Hornets.
Yes, sir.
Maybe he was a little overconfident going into the next 2 games when we saw him pressing the action too much,
probably.
right? I'm hoping that Carmelo Anthony doesn't press the action again against the same Timberwolves team.
And this game was really in the Knicks' hands when the bench was playing, when those backup players were playing. One person in particular I want to point out, and I'm curious to get your opinion on it, because our second largest audience here on the MadGood Knicks show is in Lithuania. I want to get your opinion on Mindaugas Kuzminskas.
Lithuania by Latvia? I'm not.
Can we get our European consultants here? Is Lithuania anywhere around Latvia?
Yes.
It is.
Oh, okay.
So we got the confirmation. There you go. So maybe they have the same look. Jersey's near New York. That doesn't mean anything. So yeah, I'm curious to get your thoughts on Mindaugas.
Here's what I like about
his playing time.
Yeah, obviously it was weird he didn't play much. I don't even know if he played at all the night versus the Oklahoma City Thunder at Madison Square Garden. If there's one thing I love about Mindaugas Kuzminskas is that the kid has stones. He made big shots tonight, even though the Knicks didn't give him the lead, but he was making big shots. You go back to that Portland Trail Blazers game last Tuesday night at Madison Square Garden. He made 2 really big 3-pointers down the stretch to help the Knicks get the victory. The kid has stones. He's tough. And he's not afraid to take big shots. He's not afraid to make big shots. So I like what I've seen so far from Mindaugas Kuzminskas.
Absolutely. And he's got balls, is what Anthony's trying to say. Yeah. This is on YouTube. We're not regulated by the FCC. Big balls. And Anthony, before we let you go, I do want to talk a little bit about tonight's event, a little bit about the fundraiser here and the fundraiser coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so tonight, throughout the season, I started doing them about 5 years ago. I do viewing parties for big Knicks road games because all the home games I'm at. And as I was saying, the Knicks could be 2-30. You can always do a radio show. You can always do a TV show. When it comes to the viewing parties, I kind of need the Knicks to be good because if you're 3-30, it's tough to get people together on a Tuesday night in January.
You mean the 2013-2014 season?
Right, it's tough. It's tough. So We had a nice viewing party tonight up in the Bronx at Burger Time, 1080 Mars Park Avenue. Great food here, great atmosphere.
Come check it
One
out.
of my favorite things about Burger Time is, besides the food and the people, are the walls. I feel like it's 1985 South Bronx. It's awesome. So if you ever watch the show The Get Down on Netflix, it's kind of like that. So we had a nice event tonight, local event. A less crowd here. People came from all over tonight. It wasn't people from the Bronx. People came from Manhattan. People came from Connecticut to come watch the game tonight. Also, any money we raised tonight went to the Iron Mat Foundation. The Iron Mat Foundation is a foundation that helps families with kids that are going through brain cancer. And my little sister Gianna, she went through brain cancer a few years back. She's cancer-free now. So any money made from raffles tonight is going to the Iron Mat Foundation.
Wonderful. Anthony, thanks again so much for joining us. Can you tell us again where to catch you guys?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, AnthonyMSG. My Snapchat, for whatever reason, is AnthonyMSGG. I don't know why. It's freaking annoying. Subscribe to all my shows on iTunes. Look up 33rd and 7th, the Knicks Blog Podcast. But the best is follow me on Twitter and Instagram, AnthonyMSG. And you will find all my work, all my links, all my interviews, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So TK and I are done with you for now, but what we're going to do is send you over to the wild card with Steph and Pete. You're in for a treat.
Thanks for dropping
around.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you very much.
It's an honor to be on with you guys, and I hope I'm invited back.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That was the round table. Let's take it to the wild card.
Welcome to a special edition of Wild Card. We're here at Burger Time with a very special guest, Anthony Donahue. And we're going to be talking Knicks. We're going to throw some rapid fire questions at you because Lord knows you probably want to answer more questions.
Sure, listen, I'll stay here all night if you guys want, but I don't think.
As long as the milkshake.
I think the great folks at Burger Time at some point, as great as they are, they're going to want to go to sleep at some point.
So let's get started. No hesitation. Anthony, if you could play for any Knicks team in any era, what would it be and why?
Which team would it be?
Yeah.
The 98-99 team, probably, that went to the finals because that was one of the best runs of my life. I was 15 years old. That was the first year I went to a playoff game. The first Knicks game I ever went to was April 2nd, 1994 versus the Heat. But the first playoff game I ever went to was probably my most special. It was May 12th, 1999. It was Game 3 versus the Miami Heat. We won that game 97-73. Ended up getting to the finals. To me, that was the best run, the best 6 weeks of my life, that entire run. It was like a dream come true between Allen Houston's shot, Game 5 versus the Heat to win that series. Larry Johnson's 4-point play. Series tied at 2 going back to Indiana for Game 5, winning that game. Game 6 at the Garden versus the Pacers. Latrell Sprewell running, in circles around the court. Chris Childs throwing the ball in the stands. I mean, that team, I could talk forever about that team. I've been lucky and very fortunate enough to become close to a lot of people on that team. Basically, everybody on that team has been on my show at some point, with the exception of Latrell Sprewell. And I never do him either. But that team to me is my favorite Knicks team of all time.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. So many iconic images from that team.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Yeah, let's switch gears here now. Everyone and their mother has an opinion about Carmelo Anthony. I know you touched upon this during the roundtable, but if you could just sum up in one sentence or two his whole career with the Knicks. What is your view on Carmelo Anthony?
His whole career with the Knicks, it hasn't been great. It hasn't been perfect. But I think Carmelo has done what Carmelo has done. I just think that the Knicks haven't put the pieces around him to win, but also that's also because of the way he got traded here. Had he came that summer or in November when the lockout ended, it would have been a lot different. But one sentence to sum up Carmelo Anthony's Knicks career, his Knicks career has been underachieved. I don't think he's underachieved.
Right.
But the 5 years, like, the night, this is obviously going to be more than a second, so let's just roll with it.
Right.
The night Carmelo Anthony became a Knick, I never forget walking into the Garden that night. I remember I was actually on the air. This news broke about 8:57 the night he got traded to the Knicks, and I was doing TKB radio for SNY that night at 9 p.m. I went on the air. Let me tell you, you could ask Dan Miranda, who at the time he had this website called KnicksVision.com. He was my call screener. I had about 80-something calls on hold that night. It was the most unbelievable night in my radio life when we got Carmelo Anthony.
We got 3 more questions and we're going to bang through them. The next one is a statistical one, something interesting. There's something that the Knicks are number 1 at in the NBA, and there's something that the Knicks are dead last in the NBA. Could you guess what those potentially are?
Not a big stats guy, so let me guess. Number 1 in the NBA. I'm I'm not sure.
Field goal attempts.
They do have a lot of guys that shoot, so I guess that's
But
a
the percentage is like 19th percentage, but in terms of attempts, they're putting up the most shots of any team in the NBA. That's surprising.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and then last,
Opponent's field goal percentage.
close. That one's not good too, but defensive rebounding percentage.
I was actually going to say that next.
They're not, and Porzingis, he's always
Well,
grabbing like 5 or 6. I
that's-
wish he had more of a role in terms of being a
Well, that's one
rebounder.
reason the Knicks lost on Monday night to Oklahoma City Thunder because they couldn't grab a damn rebound down the stretch.
The funny thing is that they're actually ranked third in offensive rebounds. They're
Yes,
carrying most
yes,
of the
that's
ranks.
interesting,
But to
yeah.
think that they're almost exactly opposite in the NBA
Yeah.
defensive rebounds, you're hustling on the offensive boards, but you're not
Listen,
defensive.
and this Cantor's all right. God damn, don't let that motherfucker get 12 offense. I know we're on YouTube, so I know I can say that.
All right, time to switch gears for the fourth question now. What is one item on the Burger Time list that encapsulates the Knicks season so far? If you could choose one particular item on that list, some juicy burger, some flat patty.
I mean, like,
What do you think?
It's been a solid season so far. We're at 9-9. I think we have a chance to still be very good. I still think we have a chance to win 50 games. I really do. Let's go with the buffalo sauce burger because buffalo can taste really good, but maybe the next day you might feel great. That's kind of like being a Knicks fan. It's like some days it's really great, and the next day it's not. So maybe we'll go with that.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Fair assessment.
And final question, this is probably the hardest one. How many main contributors are there on the MadGood Knicks show?
You're asking me.
Yes.
I mean, well, there's you two. I would say 5.
And that is correct.
Listen, guys. I've been following you guys for a little while now.
Oh yeah?
No, I've been following.
Okay.
I've been checking out your work. So I was honored the other day when I got an Instagram notification that you guys are promoting my event.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're glad
But
it exists
actually,
and that we could come.
we thought that you think that we're so good that you think there's a whole team behind us and you'd be like 10 to 15 guys.
No, I never thought that.
Womp womp. Well, there goes that joke.
We're gonna end this wild card. Thanks again, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks again,
guys.
Burger
Appreciate you
Time.
coming on, man.
Catch you on the next one.
Burger time.